The following is a sponsored program paid for by Robin Gwaltney Group, Remax Results. Welcome to Rochester Real Estate, featuring Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group Remax Results and Andy Brownell. Here's Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk, 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good morning. Welcome to Saturday. Andy Brownell along with Robin Gwaltney Group Remax Results for our regular weekend chat about the Rochester real estate situation. Morning, Robin.
Good morning. Nothing too regular about these days, though, is there?
Everything is.
Hey.
I just realized yesterday that I actually had not left the house because I had no reason to for, I think, 4 days.
Yeah, isn't it? It's really crazy. Well, the good news is the snow is almost completely gone. I have a few piles here and there, but mostly I see green grass, and it's sunny.
Quickly.
And it looks like we have some nice weather ahead.
Yes, we do. The whole next week it looks pretty good. So, yeah.
Good,
a lot more normal. And always,
normal,
at least something will feel normal. Correct.
And that'll be good.
Well, I'm going to check in with you because while I'm stuck in the house, apparently, I know you're not. You're out there all the time doing things, and I maybe check in to see how things are going with Gwaltney Group and Remax Results.
Yeah, well, it's, as you know, the Remax office is open. It's very different there. Most of the agents, including myself, stay home and do as much as we can from home. But occasionally, when we're in the midst of showing properties, we have to stop back in there to pick something up. And it's very quiet around the Remax office. But I think there are deals being done. At least I can speak for what's happening at the Gwaltney Group. So that's good. People ask me all the time, what's the real estate market like? And I say, it's like a typical December or January.
Okay.
Even though it's April.
I know. And you're used to just this unbelievable pace this time of the year where the last 4 or 5 years it's been almost crazy busy this time of the year. Yeah,
absolutely. And one of the things that I always talk about when we speak in the spring is multiple offers, right? And you would think, oh, that's probably not happening now, but I can promise you it is. There are still houses that are getting multiple offers on them. I have written multiple offers at least 3 times in the past week. Nice, it's more like 2 or 3 offers instead of 7 or 8 offers. But truth be told, the houses, if they're priced right, they're still selling very quickly.
And I imagine it's in that magic price range that we always talk about. Yeah,
anywhere between 200 and 300 as well, as long as it's priced well. Now, I did list a house last week for high fours, $469,000, and I had an offer on day 2. So, again, if things look nice and are priced well, they are still selling.
Right before we started the program, you kind of ran past me some fascinating numbers concerning the Rochester market and what's taking place now compared to a year ago. Maybe you want to share some of that.
Sure. So first of all, I will tell you, I know you see some of my posts on Facebook. I was just saying yesterday how important it is to work someplace that has strong leadership in these times, because things change several times weekly. Sometimes they change daily. And as information comes out regarding small business loans or regarding, what the governor says we can do and can't do, or whatever it is that is pertinent to us, our leadership at Remax Results is so awesome about communicating that to us. Our CEO is doing FaceTime videos with us. They're getting the stuff to us as quickly as possible, and they're doing such a great job of keeping the office open and keeping everybody safe. And it just makes me so proud, because when you have information at your fingertips, for me, it enables me to continue to be an expert in the market, and it's so important. So each week she'll send us some daily showings numbers, sort of like where we were last year compared to where we are this year. And I'm looking back right now in front of me, March 15th all the way through April 12th. Okay. And boy, oh boy, you could see we were way down. I think it's like March 23rd, 24th, we were 50 some showings less a day. I mean, we just dropped way down. And then April 4th, 5th, 6th, we were down quite a bit. Last year we had, on April 6th, 105 showings. This year we had 18.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. But these last few days, April 8th, April 9th, April 10th, April 11th, April 12th, so I guess it's last week, but the numbers came back to even with where they were, and now these last couple of days we've actually been ahead. So the week after Easter, this week we've had more showings on our listings than we did the week after Easter last year. So that's good.
It is good, and it's hardening is what it is. It shows that, I've seen in my work, I imagine you're seeing it in your profession as well, and I've talked to other folks, and we're all kind of actually falling into a rhythm. We always say the new normal, but it wasn't. It felt bad. It didn't. Yeah. We all were kind of disjointed, and now it's kind of okay. No, both my feet are on the ground. I kind of got a little bit of a pace here now, and my days are feeling a bit more normal, and maybe that's a sign of it right there, that people are kind of within the safety guidelines that we have to operate. We're kind of resuming some of these activities because we're feeling a little bit more normal.
It's sort of like, do you remember back in the days when seatbelts, when we were kids, nobody wore seatbelts. We didn't even really know why they were there. And then when they became, you should wear your seatbelt, and then it became, it's a law to wear your seatbelt. Now, if I get in the car, I mean, obviously the first thing I do is buckle my seatbelt, and sometimes I'll unbuckle it to like reach into the mailbox, and then I have just a few more, little bit before I pull into my driveway, and it starts dinging, and I have like a little bit of a heart panic, like, oh my gosh, I don't have my seatbelt on. That's kind of how I feel with my mask now. It's like when I go out of the house, it's like, where's my mask? Do I have my mask? So it's like you just want to be super responsible and careful. And if we're made aware that this is what it takes to keep people safe, then this is what we have to do.
Yeah. We're pretty resilient people. We'll make our adjustments and continue on. We're not the first generation of Americans who've been asked to do something like this. And
isn't that the truth?
And we've talked about that before. I mean, I look at, if this is the level of sacrifice that I've been asked to make, boy, I better count my blessings. And I know there's a whole lot of folks out there who've had to make a lot larger sacrifices than I've had to make. And I certainly recognize that and try to do the best we can to help out those folks. But at the same, when I look at what my grandparents' generation went through, and I go, wow.
Yes, exactly. I mean, let's face it, with the technology we have and the internet, I mean, with everything that we can do, you can see all these different TV shows that are happening from home. I wake up every day and I watch the Today Show. I'm just used to Al being at home now and Savannah being at home now, and it's just no big deal. You just watch it. Or the news at night. I watch Tom's in the studio and Caitlin's at home. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, I even wonder in your profession with some of the new things that you were doing them before, but now they've come more to the forefront, the virtual house tours. I wonder if that's going to be a much more popular option moving forward, even when things are back to a more normal way of living after this pandemic subsides.
I don't really think so. The shows that you and I have done in the past where we talk about like these real estate companies where they don't have a real live agent, they just have cameras set up and you can walk in and you're there by yourself looking at the house, or, you can do it with all the technology and without the person. We've always said how the human factor is missed.
Yes.
Well, I mean, those companies have, most of them have shut down or laid off 45 or 50% of their people. So it's like that. It's like anything else. When the going gets tough, the tough keep going, right?
Sure. No, that puts a whole different spin on that right there. this is what you have to do right now. But
yeah, it's what we have to do. But I think people still like to go into a house and see how it feels and see how it smells. And you know what I mean? I think people just like to get in there and look at it. But if we can't right now, we can't right now. I just don't really see the virtual world replacing that.
And as you pointed out, too, the folks who are, the transactions that are taking place now are largely people who are in situations where it is essential.
Yeah, and they don't, and like, yes, and for the people who aren't going in and walking through, it's many times not because they're afraid to put the mask on and walk in there with me or with their agent. It's because they don't want to get on a plane and fly here from wherever they're living to come and look at the house.
Yeah, I wouldn't have an issue at all with somebody coming into my home with all the precautions that you've outlined. That's for sure. That wouldn't be an issue at all. I tell you what, we have to take a break, Robin.
All right.
We're going to talk more about, I think what we're going to talk about is the investment value of real estate, perhaps. When we come back with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group, Gwaltney Group.
It's all good.
Remax Results on News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
We'll be right back with Robin Gwaltney and Andy Brownell on Rochester Real Estate. This is News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM. Welcome back to Rochester Real Estate with Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group, Remax Results, and Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk, 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good morning and welcome back. Andy Brownell with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group, Remax Results. Yeah, I got it right that time.
Awesome.
You shared with me, and others I imagine, a couple articles concerning the real estate marketplace and comparisons to what happened after during the Great Recession of, I guess, my goodness, that's 12 years ago? Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, actually, if you look at that first article that I sent you, it's recession, yes. Housing crash, no. So this is an article that I put on Facebook. We've had over 2,000 hits on it. I think it's a really good article, and it's showing the numbers. If you look at the bottom of the article, Andy, you'll see how did the home prices change during the last 5 recessions. Okay, so they're talking about a recession in 1980, a recession in 1981, 1991, 2001, and 2008. And if you look at the last 5 recessions, after 3 of those, the home prices increased. In 1980, after the recession, the prices were up by 6.1%. In 1981, after the recession, prices were up 3.5%. In 91, they did drop a bit, 1.9%. 2001, after the recession, we were up 6.6% in housing prices. Now, 2008, that is a different ballgame. After that recession, prices dropped 19.7%. And I think people are getting really confused because buyers are saying, oh, should I wait? Because are the prices going to really go low? Should I lowball this offer? And it's like, no. This is not like that. I mean, the big difference is in 2008, it was the housing that caused the crash, okay? It was the actual problem. This time, it's different. And this time, it's going to be the housing market that takes us out of it. So I can promise you, I do not see prices decreasing. Values are not going to decrease.
I am still of the opinion, and I have to stress it's just an opinion, that whatever economic disruption we see is going to be relatively short-lived. I choose to be an optimist on that. I mean, I know there's various other opposing opinions on that, but a lot of the jobs that have been disrupted, and there's a decent chance that they could come back relatively quickly. And not tomorrow, obviously, but within a matter of months. These other disruptions, particularly 2008, you saw, especially in the housing sector, those jobs just vanished and they were gone. They weren't coming back.
Exactly. And I mean, that was a whole different story. That was I want to say a man-made crisis, right? I mean, that was just a whole banking debacle, that's when, as we know, anybody could fog a mirror. They could get a mortgage. People were getting loans and they shouldn't have gotten them. And they became very vulnerable. They couldn't keep up with their payments. They lost houses. I mean, it was a disaster. I mean, not that COVID isn't a disaster. I'm not saying that, but, let's read this. It says, historical analysis showed us that pandemics are usually V-shape, sharp recessions that recover quickly, enough to provide little damage to the economy. Okay? So basically, things are going to drop down to that point of that V, and they're going to bounce back up. And a lot of the things that I've been reading and hearing, the upside of the V is even going to be higher than it was when we started this, before we started this.
I share that opinion. I think there's going to be, for those who did not take a significant hit from this, and if you look at it in the state of Minnesota, it's somewhere around between 75 and 80% of folks they're still working at their regular jobs, and some I have seen pay raises because of what's going on. And others,
and rightfully so, yeah, because they are out there and putting themselves in danger, right?
Yes, exactly. Particularly in the grocery stores and healthcare and those frontline positions, but they're not able to actually spend the money that they have on the things that they enjoy or things that they wish to have to improve their lives, like a nicer home and things like that. So when this all resolves itself, and it will someday, I think that there's going to be quite a number of folks who will have some real disposable income on their hands.
And maybe the reason you and I remain so positive is because we've spent our entire lives here, where we have the Mayo Clinic, and we have so much confidence in the health system because we know how crazy intelligent these doctors are and what they're capable of, and these scientists. So, I mean, I have this sense of calmness that, okay, they're working on the vaccination. They'll come up with it. We'll all get vaccinated, and we can go back to, oh my gosh, remember that horrible, disastrous COVID-19.
That'll be a sad chapter in all of our lives. It'll be something we lived through.
So, I mean, it's just so sad to see those nurses speaking on, especially like those ones in New York, and they take their masks off and it shows their faces, and they're just so sad watching all those people die. I mean, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. But then we look at the local news and we see, wow, Olmsted County, we've had no deaths. You almost feel like we have superpowers with Mayo Clinic. And I know that's not it. I just know that, A, we don't have that dense population like they have other places in the country. But B, I think we're being super responsible and staying home. And when we are out, when I go into I have to run into Sam's to get groceries, almost everybody has a mask on. And it makes me feel really good.
It's not just Rochester area. I think it's Minnesota. It's kind of part of our heritage. I think that when we are given the information that tells us this is why you're doing this, and this is why it's good for you to be doing this, we're going to do it.
Exactly.
You brought up the seatbelt law. We all bellyached, or quite a few people did bellyache about it. But guess what? Minnesota's compliance rate is the highest in the nation. Has been for many, many years.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, that's awesome. I did not know that.
Yeah. We already have to take another break, Robin.
All right.
Time is zipping by. We're talking with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group Remax Results on News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
We'll be right back with Robin Gwaltney and Andy Brownell on Rochester Real Estate. This is News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM. Welcome back to Rochester Real Estate with Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group Remax Results and Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good morning. Welcome back. Andy Brownell along with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group Remax Results this Saturday morning. One of the articles, Robin, that you shared with me today was doing some apples to apples comparisons to the housing crisis or crash following the 2008 financial crisis. And it certainly points out that they don't really, the current situation doesn't have anything in common with what happened back in 2008.
Yeah, I like the title of the article. Think this is a housing crisis? Think again, right? So, yeah, it shows us, I wish the listeners could see the graphs, but I guess you can find them on my Facebook page if you want to look at these articles. The annual home price appreciation before the crash. In 2000, things started to just go crazy. I mean, it was really good for me. That's when I became a realtor, and I thought, wow, this market's awesome. Values were going up by 8.6% in 2000, 6.5% in 01, 8.5% 02, 8.7% in 09, 12.5% in 03, not 09, and 11.4% in 05. So, I mean, they were going way, way, way up. Everybody kept saying, this can't keep up. I mean, if prices keep going up this high, nobody's going to be able to get in. And sure enough, boom, they fell. And then after 2008, they went down by 19.7%, and they've had to work their way back up, right?
But actually, if you looked at it, if you got in 2000 with the appreciation that took place, even with that drop, you still did okay.
If you were able to remain in your house and afford it, because what happened is so many people lost it then, right? So if they were able to keep up with their payments and afford to keep that house, yeah, sure. I mean, there were times when people would call me in 08 or in 09, maybe even a little bit into 10, depending on what year they bought it and how much they paid, and said, oh, I'd like to sell my house. Well, listen, if they bought it in 04 after it had just appreciated by 12.5%, and now they're trying to recover from a 20% drop, you can imagine it's like they didn't like the numbers that they could sell their house for, right? So that being said, now you compare it to the previous 6 years from now. And in 2014, it was a 4.4%, and 15, 5.2% increase, 16, 5.5, 17, 6.4, 18, 4.8, 19, 4.7. So very steady.
Healthy.
I mean, healthy, very healthy, yes. I mean, it's what we want when we invest in real estate. We want the property to, increase in value each year. But it's a very, the old saying, slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah,
correct?
I noticed the best year was 2017 at 6.4% gain or appreciation, and that would have been equal to pretty much the worst year of the previous stretch.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. So, I mean, our housing market is in a much healthier place, and then look at the chart below that for the historic data for the Mortgage Credit Availability Index. You and I spent one entire show talking about that, and you can tell where the market stands by those numbers. And because it's in such a steady place, it's showing us that the people who are getting approved for loans now are people who can honestly afford those loans comfortably and have the ability to pay them back. Even if they get furloughed for a couple of weeks from their job or have to switch from their paycheck to unemployment for a few months, I think everybody's going to, come out of this because they got into, depending on when they got their loan, I guess. But, if they've bought a house in the last 6 years, I don't think they're going to have to worry about this.
Yeah, the due diligence was done to make sure that they weren't over their heads.
And in the last couple of years, people have been busy refinancing with these crazy low interest rates, and they're still busy. I spoke with one appraiser this week, and he told me he has over 100 files for appraisals, and they have a 4-person company, and they have over 100 to be done. I mean, let's face it, if people can drop, I just sold a young girl a house probably a year and maybe 2 years ago. Gosh, time goes so fast. Anyway, she was locked in at like 4.25, and she just refinanced to 2.99.
Yep.
And she refinanced, closed on her refinance, and then lost her second job, which was a server. She has a full-time job at Mayo. She's still working from home, but lost her server position. So she's like, I don't really even notice the difference because she did that very part-time, and her payment went down. So I said, good for you, girl.
Yeah, took advantage of
her good credit, and
her hard work.
And her hard work.
But also, one thing you mentioned to me previously, as we've watched the housing market locally, is a key indicator is inventory.
Yeah.
And how, and you're telling me that we still have it's still very much a seller's market as far as there's not a lot of inventory out there.
Honest, we have been running at about 2 to 3 months of inventory. And some of that due to the fact that people just don't want to put their house on the market right now, maybe because they're misinformed and they think that it's not a good time to sell their home, or maybe because they don't want people coming into their home because they're afraid of the germs and the COVID. And
Okay.
you know, that's legit. There's some people that have suppressed immune systems or older people. I mean, there are people that don't want people coming in, and I'm fine with that. I feel like people have to do what they're comfortable with. So some people, after I talk through, I say, you probably are better waiting. But, you know, there's lots of people that say, listen, I'm fine with it. I want to get my house sold. I took a job out of state. I'm leaving town. It's like, let's do this.
Sure.
So, yeah, we're putting houses on the market. I think we put 5 or 6 on the market this past week. So we're continuing to list new houses. We're continuing to sell houses, show houses. We're doing what we can to keep this market as close to, you know, normal as we possibly can without being irresponsible.
And that's another thing in the news media, they portray it as the economy has ground to a halt. No, it hasn't.
No, it hasn't.
There are a lot of pieces of economy that are, I mean, the truckers are still going down the highways.
Thank goodness, right?
Yeah, the grocery stores are still open. Obviously, telecommunications is doing really well right now. Have you driven past any drive-thrus in town? Yeah.
The lines are 2 miles long.
That's for sure. Well, Robin, always fascinating to talk to you, and the information is top-notch, but we're out of time already, but we have to know how to get a hold of you before we say goodbye.
Absolutely. I'm here and I'm taking phone calls, so please call me. My phone number is 507-259-4926, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have regarding the market.
All right. Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group, Remax Results. Until next Saturday, thank you so much, Robin. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right. News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.